You all. Let me get that up. While they're getting the PowerPoint up, before I start my report, I did want to mention Brother Holt had announced, I think it was last week, about, or maybe the week before, about a class that we're going to try to start for young people. And I would also encourage anybody that does want to come. I don't want to say that this is exclusive to young people because it's a textual study. We're going to study the book of Ecclesiastes. So it's not just topics for young people. But we will likely do that at Athens State college campus and just make it a campus study. Hopefully we can get some outreach there. But I just wanted to let everybody know that we're going to be doing that. There's a page on Facebook that I started. If you're on Facebook and would like to stay updated on the events of that study, then you can get in that group or let me know or let somebody else know that's in the group. They can add you to it. But I just wanted to let everyone know and be aware because I haven't gotten a whole lot of feedback. And, of course, I want as many people there as can be there. So just want to let you all be aware of that. I also want to say I'm thankful. I'm very thankful for Eastside's involvement in the distribution, if I could say that word or use that word, of the gospel. I guess I could say this. Brother Albert Burns told me this a few months ago, probably last year actually, that somewhere upwards of 80%, I think, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, it might be more than that, 85 to 90% of the money that is received to Eastside is given to people who preach the gospel. And that is the way that our elders have decided to use the money that we receive. And it was an exceptional opportunity and honor to be sent by the elders and to witness the work that is being done. I'm going to spend most of my time, I'm going to probably spend about 15 minutes just talking about the events of the week. I did a little bit of a blog while I was down there. Wasn't able to do as much as I would have liked because we didn't have internet connection for a while. Even though we had a hotspot, it wasn't working for half the trip. Oscar and I were a little frustrated with that. But some of the things that are in that blog are on here. But I'm mainly just going to be talking about the events of the week. And Oscar's going to kind of talk more about the work that the brethren down there are doing. But again, I'm very thankful to have been a part of witnessing the work that's going on. There's a lot of good work being done. Steve displayed it in his report on Africa. Andrew will reiterate that tonight, Lord willing. And Oscar and I will be talking about the work that's being done in Guatemala. You see up here this picture, beautiful picture of the valley area of what's called Shela or Urbina or Quetzaltenango, several different names for this area. This is a picture that I took from Hermano or Brother Ruben's house from the second story. You see the crops of corn that he has here. I don't know how well you can see it, but right here he's got these corn crops and overlooking the valley, but beautiful picture here of the area. It would have been hard for me to, I wish I could put up all the pictures. I have like 300 something photos and several videos. I wish I could do it all, and I've only got 15 minutes. But this kind of will give you an idea of what we're looking at here. This is Brother Ruben's house, and down here in this area is where the church building is that they worship. We don't support Brother Ruben, but he does a lot of work with Geronimo, who we do support, who we did spend the whole week with. We spent the whole week with Brother Geronimo and Brother Ruben. Ruben was the one that offered his house to us when we got down there. We stayed there 3 nights, and he was the one that drove us around in his vehicle all around the country to visit the brethren that we support and to preach at these various congregations. So Brother Reuben, not even a man that we're associated with as far as financially, made this sacrifice for us. So just to give you an idea of the quality of Brother Reuben's character. But the church building is right around this area, and several of the Christians, Geronimo lives right over here, right next to the building. The neighborhood kind of comes all the way up into this area over here, and brethren live all right around there. So it's really, really neat. Behind the house, this is the view out back this way. There's more brethren that worship with this congregation at Quetzaltenango. They're all right there around each other. So it's really great community fellowship that they have with each other, living right next to each other. About to spend half my time on one picture, so I'm going to get through this. This is a picture of the building that we met in at Quetzaltenango. Again, just right down the street from Brother Reuben's house. This was Sunday morning. Sunday morning, Oscar and I both spoke. Oscar did a 2-hour class, or a class for an hour. Then we had a break. Took the Lord's Supper, of course. And then Oscar preached a lesson that morning. So we worshiped with them for 2 hours Sunday morning. And that's them. That's the building there at Quetzaltenango, and Oscar are speaking there. Those of you who saw my blog saw this picture, but this is a picture of a man by the name of Jose Ramos. He is blind, and he is a preacher of the gospel. This is a picture of his notes. You can see Braille. He writes out Braille notes to preach from. Pretty impressive to see this here. And he was telling us a little bit about it, and Oscar knows more about it than I do because he speaks Spanish. But it was really amazing to hear what little I did hear about the work that Brother Jose is doing. He was planning a trip to go to various churches in Guatemala and preach. And this blind man really devoting himself to the work of God. Very encouraging, very impressive. This is Jose right here right here. This is his son, Cesar, and his Cesar's son, Cesar Jr. And we got to spend the afternoon that Sunday eating lunch with that family and visiting with them. There were several families that hosted us. Oscar and I paid for maybe, 4 or 5 meals. I mean, and a lot of those were voluntary. They fed us 3 times a day. They were very good to us, very, very hospitable. But this is one example of the families. I wish I could put them all up here, but I just don't have time. That afternoon from about 3 to 5, we worshiped Sunday morning from 7 to 9. And then from 3 to 5 that afternoon, I did a class, and then we took a break and did a sermon that afternoon with the brethren there. And of course, Oscar translated. I'll say that I can't tell Oscar, I've told him this already, but I can't tell you all how valuable it was, of course, to have Oscar to be there to translate not only my lessons, but everything that I wanted to say and everything that they were saying to me. And it was just, I think I'd been down to Mexico with Oscar and his family before back in high school. And I think I had forgotten how difficult it was to communicate. And so, again, it was just so valuable. The beginning of the week, and it didn't take me long, but maybe a day or two to realize how exhausted Oscar was going to be by the end of the week, because he was not only preaching every lesson that I preached, which was probably 7 or 8 lessons of the week. He was preaching all of his lessons as well, and doing all the talking, communicating. So Oscar's voice by the end of the week was just about shot. So we were praying for his voice to just maintain through Friday night. But again, it was very valuable, invaluable, I guess I should say, to have Oscar there translating. He did a lot of good work there outside of just preaching, and I'll talk about that here in just a second. I put this picture in here. I cannot remember, and Oscar might remember his name. I cannot remember for the life of me that brother's name, but this is Manuel Ventura Lopez. This is Ricardo's son. Is that correct? He preaches about hour and a half away from Sheila, and he came to visit with us. But he's a preacher of the gospel as well. But of course, we support Ricardo. But just to see an example of the work that the extension of the brethren that we support, his son is out doing the work of the gospel as well. That afternoon, after we met from 3 to 5, at 6 o'clock, we ate at Brother Ruben's house. This is his house here, and the church building here. And this is the brethren all walking down from the house back to the church building to meet for one more service for an hour that evening. But the fellowship there amongst the brethren was very encouraging. The hospitality of Reuben, as I've already emphasized, but everybody's desire to be together was encouraging. So we spent that hour together, and then Oscar spoke that evening, on Sunday evening. Monday morning, this is Brother Geronimo walking up to his son's house. He lives right here up in this. Well, he lives up here on the left side of the house. This is where we're going for breakfast that morning. Geronimo's office is just outside here, this building, right to the left. And he has a picture of our elders. It's an old picture, so we need to send him an updated picture. But he has a picture of our elders in there, and we got to see the work, where he does his work. But he's leading us up here to, just a picture of him leading us up to his son's house. Oscar, do you remember his name? Marco. Okay. I could not remember his name. I'm so bad with remembering names, period. But add in that difficult Spanish names and the fact that I don't speak Spanish, it's like impossible for me to remember some of these names. But this is Marco and his family, and he had us that morning for breakfast. Again, another example of hospitality. This little girl here, Oscar, I have a video of it, was singing hymns with her. So it was really good to see that and witness that. This is just a picture that I decided to put in of just the beauty. It was beautiful around there. The area was gorgeous, and it was really neat to be able to see and witness that part of Guatemala in the mountains there. And you can see they have these crops. There was so much corn in that area, right there in Shela. A lot of corn. And back actually up in this area, back up that way, is where David Rafe actually lived, and we got to visit his house. He doesn't live there anymore, of course. He preaches in Philadelphia, but we got to see that. And the other thing is, the brethren down there, they adore David. They were talking about him all the time, and I kept hearing David. I'm like, oh, me? No, they're not talking about me. They're talking about David Rafe. So, but they adore him, and that's really, really encouraging. On Monday evening, I spoke, and that was our last visit with the brethren in Quetzaltenango. And, of course, Oscar translated for me there, but that's just a picture of Monday evening's service. This is us on Tuesday morning. We got up bright and early to leave for Chicacao, which means land of the cocoa bean. Just an interesting factoid there. This brother right here, this is Brother Ruben, the one that hosted us and traveled with us throughout the week. This is his wife. This is Brother Elder, and his wife. He lives in Catalina or something like that, and preaches there. And that's about an hour or so away. And he came and visited with us and stayed. Oscar ended up the night before talking with Elder for probably hour and a half. And Oscar said Elder's doing great work where we don't support him, but he's doing great work as well. So again, just another example of the work that's going on down there. But we left that early morning Tuesday to head to Chicacao. This is a picture of the streets of Chicacao. Of course, beautiful views all over Guatemala there. The mountains in the background. We got there that morning and met with the brethren in Chicacao. This is where Brother Ricardo preaches. And this is a picture of the building here. When we got there, that pretty much right away, got there and then headed over to the building. Oscar did a 2-hour class that morning on women speaking in Bible class. I wish I could speak Spanish because Oscar was bombarded with questions and comments and challenges. But Geronimo kind of had his back there a little bit and was supporting him. And I don't think anybody there was trying to oppose Oscar in any way directly, but they were definitely very, very open-minded, very inquisitive of Scripture and on this topic of women speaking Bible class. But Oscar spent 2 hours talking about this and answering questions, and I have a picture. I don't have it up here, but another picture of Oscar answering some of the questions, which, again, this was a very big experience for Oscar and I because we've never been in this situation of answering questions like that. So it was a good challenge for us. But also, Oscar and I were talking about this. It emphasizes the importance of having elders. When a congregation doesn't have elders, a lot of the congregations in places like Guatemala don't, you get situations like this. Preacher comes in and preaches on a specific topic or does a Bible class, and they're just bombarded with questions. There's nothing wrong with that. But when you have elders, you have a group of men who are knowledgeable, who are able to answer questions, who are able to lead the flock. I just want to emphasize, they didn't set me up to this, but I want to emphasize how thankful we should be for our elders who are devoting themselves to leading the flock. Steve preached a lesson about that. I won't go into that in detail, but you get situations like this, be thankful that we have a good leadership here. This was a little break that we took between the services when we went to eat lunch, but before lunch we went down to a river, continued spiritual discussions, continued questions. Again, Oscar was talking with primarily these two men here pretty much all afternoon. Before lunch, Oscar was answering questions and talking with them, and a good discussion from what Oscar told me. And then you see Brother Ruben pulling his feet off there in the river. Later that afternoon, I did a 2-hour class. What did I speak on? Oh, differences on commandments and opinions. They had specifically asked for that. Of course, Ricardo was present for both of these sessions, and he interjected and made comments. Did great on that. But this is just the 2-hour service or class period that we did there. Again, bombarded with more questions. But again, there was a lot of interest, a lot of desire on the part of the brethren. I showed you this picture and this picture to show the work that Oscar was doing outside of just especially in Chicacao, outside of the services to explain and answer questions. This is a picture of us with the brethren there. Hurry up here. This is us with Ricardo and his family. The only picture we could get was at night, so we got that picture there. Next day we went over to Rio Bravo, where Jose Humberto lives and works. This is a picture of Rio Bravo there. And, this was us following Jose Humberto on his motorcycle, which I thought that was kind of funny, Jose driving this motorcycle around. But this is why Jose drives a motorcycle, because he lives down this street. So Jose can easily get in and out and around this dirt pathway down to his house. We drove the Jeep down, probably driving 1-2 miles an hour. But he lives down this pathway, and other people live along the way. But that morning, we met with the brethren in San Juan Bautista. This is a picture of the brethren there. And of course, you see Geronimo right there. He was taking pictures with Oscar's iPad virtually the whole time. So he helped us out a lot in that. But that morning, Oscar and I both spoke. This is a picture of Oscar speaking at San Juan, and me speaking and Oscar translating there. Later that afternoon, we did another hour service, or 2-hour service. 1 hour Oscar did outside. I didn't put a picture of that, but the next hour it started pouring down rain, so we came into the building, and this is the brethren here at Rio Bravo. We went to San Juan Bautista, which was about 20-30 minutes away, and then came back to Rio Bravo that afternoon and did another 2 hours. So again, 4 hours of classes and sermons that day. So we were doing a lot of preaching while we were in these places. And this is just a picture of me speaking there, Rio Bravo. I wanted to put this picture up. This is Jose Maria's daughter. We support him, but that's his daughter there. And some of her children, and then some of the other little girls that worship there in Rio Bravo. But I wanted to put this picture up because these girls were quoting scripture to us like crazy. This is the work that Jose Humberto was doing. Me and Oscar were talking about this. The kids there were so impressive, just quoting scripture, Romans 1:16, Proverbs 19:20, spouting it off, singing all these Bible class songs. The kids there were incredible. They were so encouraging to me. Brother Holt asked us to look out for the future of the church. This is the future of the church in Rio Bravo. Kids that know the word, they know the Bible. So very encouraging to see that. This is a picture of Jose Humberto with his family, his three little girls there, and his wife. His wife is very sick, very sick, just having issues with diet, and because of that, she's having a difficult time just maintaining health. So pray for her, and just keep her in your prayers. Jose is doing a lot of good work, and we support this brother. So pray for him, pray for his wife. It was Thursday morning. We went here, and we got a call. We were on our way to Pauline that morning, but the roads were blocked, and we weren't able to leave. Well, Jose Humberto got a call that another brother in a different location wanted to get baptized as a young boy. So we came here, and this is just a picture of the river there. This is the pathway to us, where the village where this brother where this young boy lived. This is a picture of Oscar taking his confession. This young boy was very quiet, but very genuine and very emotional in this moment, as to be expected. Shedding tears at this point, but Oscar and I were very thankful to be able to take a part in this. But as soon as this boy came up out of the water, he just wept. he wept, and it was just very amazing to see the reaction, his reaction again. Of course, as you all know, it's a wonderful thing to witness a baptism, but it was wonderful for us to be able to take part in that and witness his sincere heart for God. That night we made it to Pauline, which is where Jose Maria preaches. This is just a picture of us entering the city. That evening, we got there late, but it was pouring down rain. Jose lives right here. That's his house back there, and this is like where the church meets. And his daughter cuts hair. That's his daughter, and they have a poster there for that. But they meet here in this little section, space area here, pouring down rain on this tin roof here. And we could hardly hear Oscar in the back. And Oscar's voice, again, this was Thursday, and his voice was already getting shot. So, but we were able to get through that. And then that evening, there was actually a larger crowd, and we had a class on church discipline, essentially, is what we talked about. And that lasted for an hour and a half, hour and 45 minutes, longer than we had planned. So there was a lot of questions from these brethren. This is Jose Maria, his wife and daughters. And this is Ruben, of course. And this is Geronimo's brother, Cruz. We picked him up in Rio Bravo, and he finished the trip out with us. But he was with us as well. This is a picture there at their house. On Friday, we made our way to Guatemala City, back to the city, and this is outside of Francisco Ventura's house. As soon as we got there, his wife started singing Bienvenidos, which means welcome. It's a common Spanish hymn that they sing with. He was singing that song, Bienvenidos, and they welcomed us, of course. And this is the congregation here at Guatemala City. And that evening, I spoke and Oscar translated for me again, and we did the same lesson on church discipline, and they had a lot of questions and good information or good thoughts on that. This is Ricardo right here, or excuse me, Francisco. Let me hurry through this. I just got a picture quickly. All three of these guys are brothers. You got Geronimo, Cruz, and Jose Maria. But all three of these guys, Geronimo and Jose Maria, we support them, and they do a lot of work. A lot of these preachers are Geronimo, he's single. His wife has passed away. But every night of the week, he's doing something spiritual every night. And I would venture to say probably during the days as well. He's doing something, meeting with other congregations. Jose Maria is working with other churches. Every one of these preachers is probably working with at least 3 to 4 churches. They're doing a lot of work. So our money is going to a good work down there in Guatemala. Cruz, he does not preach. He has some health problems, but he doesn't preach full time, but he does preach from time to time in Rio Bravo. This is a picture of Francisco and his wife, and this is in their house there. And this is our final picture with our 2 traveling companions, Ruben and Geronimo. Of course, they were very gracious to us, taking us around everywhere, and Ruben as well. All right. That was like 20 minutes. But I'll turn it over to Oscar now. He's going to talk more about the information regarding the preachers and the work that they're doing down there. But thank you for your attention. And again, thank you for the opportunity, giving us the opportunity to go down there and encourage this brother.
All right, good morning to everyone. I see it's almost 11 o'clock. I don't want to go over way too long, but I think this is, I guess, a good reason to go over for everyone to kind of be updated about the work that's going on in Guatemala. Well, while they're working on getting that set up, anyways, I want to first of all say, give thanks to God for allowing David and I the opportunity to be able to take this trip and giving us health and protecting us and prospering the trip. Also wanted to say a very big thank you to the 5 elders, or our elders at the church here at Eastside. I'm going to reiterate some of the things that David said, but really we're so blessed to have the men that we have here to be shepherding the flock, and for their concern to support other men in different parts of the world to preach the gospel. Truly, they're using the money from the treasury for such a great cause, and they're doing such a good job. And the men that we support, the 5 men that we support in Guatemala, are all I think are worthy to receive financial support and spread the gospel. So thankful to the elders here, and also thankful to the church here at Eastside. David and I had so many men or people here at Eastside who came up to us and asked us if we needed, any extra money for ourselves. And several people came up to us and gave us money to help anyone that we saw, any Christians that we saw that had needs. So y'all, the church here at Eastside, that's one of the things I've been so impressed by ever since I've been here, is how much people are willing to give. And I think if you remember, Paul praised the church in Philippi in Philippians 4 for their willingness to give, and that's what I see when I think about Eastside. Just so many cheerful givers here, and just know that your money, even though you might think, oh well, I didn't, I can't give that much, or $20, whatever it might be, is not that much to these men and these Christians down in parts of Guatemala. It really is a lot, because they can't afford the cost of living, whether it be food. A lot of them have physical illnesses, and they can't afford to go to the doctor. They can't afford to buy medication, and so just know that whatever you gave, that was a very big help to them. So thank you for that. And as in Acts 14:27, when Paul gathered with the church at Antioch to report what God had done for him, is what we're doing this morning. Just wanted to talk about Brother Ruben. Once again, we do not support Brother Ruben financially, but he was with us for the entire week. He picked us up at the airport. I had the pleasure of meeting him 2 years ago when I went down to Guatemala, and he is just such a great man. I've got a picture of there, him and David and his family there working in the kitchen. He's got, I believe it's 6 kids, 4 daughters, 2 sons. I think one of his daughters is married and she's moved off, but he has 5 children under his roof, and there you see them all working in the kitchen. His wife has the youngest daughter strapped to her back, and they're preparing meals. But such a great man, very strong, spiritual man, just very sound. And like David said, he volunteered his vehicle to transport us throughout Guatemala for the whole week. And the elders had given us some money to be able to help him out with gas expenses and things like that. But he did that, voluntarily. We do not support him. He's a member there in Shela. He does work at his house. He's I guess he sews things. And his daughter is a nurse, and she's able to somehow, I don't know, give medication to people. So they make a living that way. But very, very good man. Very hospitable, him and his whole family. Brother Ruben is actually, him and Brother Jeronimo Gosh were going to be appointed as elders at the church in Urbina, which is a very big thing because there's not a church in Guatemala that has elders. But due to the death of Jeronimo's wife, they had to stop it. They were not able to go through with that. So at this time, they still don't have elders. But I think they're in the process. They said there's one other man at that congregation that could be possibly considered for that. So they are definitely working towards that. And there's just a picture of Ruben's house that we stayed in for 3 nights. So, all right, I want to talk about Brother Jeronimo for just a moment. I think the church here at Eastside has been supporting Brother Jeronimo for several years. I think since like maybe the late 80s, early 90s. But I am so impressed by the work that Brother Jeronimo does. He's a member at Shela, where we were at the first 2.5 days. He's not the full-time preacher there. He's a member. He preaches very often, but they actually have like a lineup, so they rotate preachers. So he does a lot of preaching. And like David said, I mean, he is busy every single day of the week, whether it's meeting with men, going to visit families, traveling to other places. He is a very busy man, doing a lot of work in God's kingdom. So we need to be very thankful for him. Like I said, Brother Jeronimo, he lost his wife. His wife passed away last year, and but he's been able to surpass the depression, the sadness of that, and he's actually in the process of trying to find another wife. And I was just so encouraged. He would talk to me about what he's looking for in his wife. He's looking for someone who's going to support him, to travel with him, to go preach and teach and all that. And just so impressed by Brother Jeronimo. I would have to kind of identify Brother Jeronimo as kind of like the fundamental Christian. He's one of the men who has just done so much work there in Guatemala. He was baptized. He came out of institutionalism. And I mean, everywhere we went, everyone knew about Jeronimo. And I mean, it would be rare to find Christians in Guatemala that don't know Brother Jeronimo. He's just done so much work, and he continues to do that even today. There's just a picture once again of him and one of his sons and his daughter-in-law. There's a picture of the church in Shela. Like David said, we were there Sunday morning for 2 hours, Sunday evening for another 2 hours, and then Sunday night for 1 hour. This is Monday morning, we were leaving Shela, getting ready to go to Chicacao. Right there I have a picture of Ruben, his wife, and then right next to me is Brother Elden and his wife. I had the pleasure of meeting Brother Elded 2 years ago. He preaches over in Catarina. We don't support him financially, but he is doing a lot of really good work. I spent about an hour and a half talking to him privately Sunday night from about 11 to about 12:30. And he was talking to me about some issues that the church in Catarina is dealing with, and actually involving my uncle that is now in I think Rogersville here in Alabama. But the issues, I was just very, very amazed about how Eled is handling all of those things. So just very impressed with Brother Eled here. We did not have the chance to go to Catarina this time because we don't support him. That was kind of our primary mission. So he actually wanted to come and see me and meet David and come. He came and was with us Monday night when David gave a class. Then we went on to Chicacao, and this is Brother Ricardo Ventura and his family. We were there with them on Tuesday. Brother Ricardo is an ex-military, and you can tell in his personality, he's very straight to the point. He's just a very organized man, and that's just his personality. He's doing a lot of really good work. We got to Chicacao, I don't know, it was like maybe 8:40. We were supposed to have services at 9 o'clock that morning, so they prepared breakfast for us, and we ate like in 15 minutes and then went on to services. So, but Brother Ricardo is doing a lot of really good work as well. There's a picture of the church in Chicacao. This is where we had the 2-hour session in the morning and then 2-hour session in the evening. Like David said, we were absolutely bombarded with questions, comments, and it was something that I would have to say we weren't really expecting. It was the first time I had been in a very deep question and answer session type of deal, but I am so thankful for that opportunity and for that experience that we were able to have, because it just really gave us an opportunity to kind of be able to think on our feet. And thankfully, David and I were able to discuss things and were able to answer them, not only with our thoughts on the situation, but using scripture. And they were very pleased to see that. And just very, very good church here in Chicacao, and Ricardo has been working with them. Ricardo also works with, I think, 2 other congregations that he travels. So there's times when the church here in Chicacao meets and Ricardo is elsewhere meeting with other Christians. So he's a very busy man as well. Then when we went over to Rio Bravo, which is where Jose Humberto preaches at, he is also a very busy man. He preaches in Rio Bravo, and then he works with the church in San Juan Bautista and Morazan. A very good man, strong Christian. He's probably the youngest man that we support, and he uses his energy very wisely. Like David said, his wife is pretty sick. Ever since they had their 3rd daughter, she's been pretty sick with just health issues, stomach issues. So Brother Jose Humberto probably lives in the most area where there's most poverty. It's very hot there. Mosquitoes are really bad. So that we were there Wednesday, and that night David and I basically doused ourselves in mosquito repellent because they were all over the place and it was very hot. But Brother Jose Humberto, a very good man, doing a lot of work. He did sit down and talk to David and I, and asked us that if we would consider talking to the elders about providing him with a little bit more of financial support. And he gave us his reasons, a lot of it having to do with, his wife's illness. And he told me, I could get out and work, but I don't want to. I want to preach the gospel. I want to be out, working for the Lord. And it would really, help him out if we would support him with a little bit more. So we brought that. We told them we would talk to the elders when we got home, and we've talked to the elders, and the elders have considered to help him out with some more, increasing his financial support per month. So I emailed him back and told him that, and he was very, very thankful to the elders and to the church here. And then even later that night, Wednesday night, he had a pretty specific question that he asked me about whether we can help certain Christians out of the treasury. And so about an hour, probably around midnight, I talked to him about that, and I tried to I used scripture to show him, maybe where kind of the direction he should take in approaching that certain question. So saw a lot of good things here in Rio Bravo. Like David said, we were here at the church in San Juan. This is Bautista. This is one of the churches where Jose Humberto works with. So we were there that morning for 1 hour. Then we took a little break, and then David gave another hour of class. So we did 2 hours there. Then we came back to Rio Bravo, which is where his main work is at. I preached for an hour outside. And it was just, just one of those things that's different. We're outside. There's chickens and ducks running around. There's roosters, crowing. There's dogs barking. And, it's just kind of the way it is there. But they said that it gets really hot, as you can imagine, in that building with the tin roof. And they weren't sure they could fit everyone there. So they moved the benches outside. And then after I got done preaching, sure enough, 10 minutes later, it just started pouring. So they quickly moved the benches back inside the building. And David then preached, and it was very hot in there and very loud because the rain was hitting the tin roof. So, and my voice was just about shot, but we were able to make it through, and we were able to meet the Christians here. It was just very, very good time. I just wanted to reiterate, I was so impressed with the children. That night we had dinner with a lot of the Christians, which is actually, this is where Jeronimo's mother lives. Right next to the building there, and we had dinner there, and we were able to meet with the Christians, and so impressed with the kids. I mean, they were quoting scripture, they were singing, little songs, and it was great to see that, both boys and girls just doing that. So definitely there's a lot of work being done there. Then Thursday morning, we were getting ready to go to Palin to visit Jose Maria, but there was some kind of a strike. I don't know. It happens pretty often. I think the teachers were on strike, so some of the roads were blocked. So they said, just stay where you're at. Don't try to travel right now because you'll never make it. Just wait until later this afternoon. Things will clear up. So Jose Humberto got a call that there was going to be a baptism at one of the other places where he works, and he asked us if we wanted to go, and we said, sure, absolutely. So they said, David, are you willing to, actually baptize the young man? And David said yes. So David went prepared with clothes. And when we got there to this little village, they asked me if I would give like a talk before. And so I gave a talk about, what baptism is and why we all need to be baptized, what, Jesus has done for all of us. So I gave a talk before, and then took the young man's confession. I believe his name is Manuel. And then we sang a song, and then David actually baptized him. So we were thankful to be a part of that, and for them to have asked us to be a part of that. So it was just a very great time. We rejoiced with Manuel and all the Christians there. He was very emotional and just very good to see this going on. So then from there we went to Palin, which is where Brother Jose Maria preaches. Jose Maria is brother of Jeronimo Kosh and Cruz, and we support Jose Maria and Jeronimo. Jose Maria is also just a solid man. I was so impressed with how much work he does. I think he visits, his main work is here in Palin, but he visits like 7 other congregations, and he's working with them. His family and him, they had us at their house. We stayed there that night. We traveled to Palin, and because of we weren't able to travel, we got there like 30 minutes later than we were supposed to. We were supposed to be having service. Well, they went ahead and had services, and Jose Maria was giving a class. And right when we got there, he's like, oh, well, Oscar and David are here, so let's turn it over to them. And I was like, no, just go ahead and finish. It was pouring down rain, tin roof again. I was like, you'll never be able to hear me. I said, just go ahead and finish. And so he went ahead and finished his Bible class. He had to shorten it as well because it's just so hard to hear. And we took just a quick break, and then I got up and preached a sermon on salvation. We rested a little while, and then David gave another hour and a half class that night. And once again, kind of same issue that we had in Chicacala, just a lot of questions, comments, and just a really good Bible study. So really, really good work going on there. Jose Maria, I was just so impressed. That night I stayed up about an hour, 15 minutes talking to him and Jeronimo, and they both kind of recounted to me how they became Christians, and the issues they both came out of institutionalism and kind of the barriers that they face, because a lot of the people that they meet are in these, liberal churches, and just a lot of the issues they have to face when they're dealing with these men. But they came out of institutionalism, so they're really geared to be able to talk to these people. Well, somebody else doing a lot of work. He sings. He's pretty good. Can sing pretty well. So he actually records spiritual songs, hymns, and him and his family will record them. He'll write them down, and then those are actually the hymn books that they use here in Palin to worship. So just really impressed with Jose Maria. He's doing a lot of really good work. And then lastly, we were with Brother Francisco and Sister Yoli in the capital city. We kind of made a circle, and Friday we got back to the capital. Since Saturday we were going to get ready to leave from the airport. But Brother Francisco and Sister Yoli had us at their house. We stayed there that night. They greeted us. We had food with them. Sister Yoli, she's pretty sick. They're also a little bit more advanced in age. She struggles with health issues. So that causes Brother Francisco to have to kind of stay stationary. He doesn't move around very much. He works with a church there in the capital, and then with a few other churches around the area, but he doesn't get out and travel too much because of his wife. But they're doing a lot of good work. I don't believe they have any children, but they do have a little parrot named Panchito, and that he's a little, I don't know, he's a little pest really. But his Sister Yoli was showing me an album. They have he's 7 years old. They've had birthday parties for him every single year, and they buy him a cake and invite all the little kids over. So it's kind of incredible. I guess that's their child though. But so we met with the church in Guatemala City that night for an hour and a half. Well, it was supposed to be an hour, extended to an hour and a half because a lot of questions and comments once again. And there's the church in Guatemala City that night. And just wanted to once again say how thankful I am for these two men, Brother Ruben and Brother Jeronimo, joined us the whole week, and they were just they made everything kind of run smoothly and made sure that we had everything that we needed, and they were there for us. And I was just very impressed once again with these two men and the work that they do as well. So just to finish off, I just kind of wanted to say a few things about what kind of I've learned. I mean, I was so encouraged. David and I talked about this, and we're so both encouraged by everything that we saw, everything that we were able to experience. But just, something I saw, the people in Guatemala, they're just, they had the attitude of being servants. We got to Rio Bravo, and Brother Ruben was concerned about his vehicle, something going on. He was hearing something, so they said, oh, well, there's mechanics here, and so sure enough, there was two Christians there that were getting ready to eat, and he asked them if they would take a look at their car, and it's 90 degrees there, and they didn't even know Brother Ruben, but they said, oh, yeah, we'll get down there and look at it, and so they looked at it. But just in general, that was the attitude of most Christians. They're just willing to serve, and something that really encouraged me. And that picture there on the right, where I'm surrounded by, I guess, 3 women and David there. After our 2-hour session that morning and then 2-hour session that evening, there were still more questions, more things that they wanted to discuss with me. So I spent a lot of time talking to a lot of Christians, kind of outside of just the classes and sermons that we were giving. But it was great. Their desire to have more knowledge about scriptures was very encouraging for us. And then lastly, just wanted to talk about, the sacrifice. Whenever, we go down there, we make sacrifices. We don't have air conditioning for a week. We don't have, hot water to bathe in. Those are a few of the sacrifices that we have to make. And one of the other things, if you ever go to a place like this, you experience is kind of a lack of privacy, which I know we all like our privacy, but I took this picture there, that wall that you see there. I was actually in the bathroom. I took a picture, but you can see the wall, and then there's a 3-foot opening, and then you see the tin roof. Right outside of that wall, there's, people eating dinner. And, you're not really used to that. And all the bathrooms seem to be right where the kitchen tables are at. So kind of, something that you have to get used to, something kind of makes you uncomfortable. But anyway, and then the other picture there, I'm taking a selfie with the 3 Koch brothers. like David said, Cruz joined us for the rest of the trip, and on our way back to the capital city there's 4 grown men in the back of this seat. Granted, I'm 5'9", I was the tallest one, there, but still four of us back there just kind of crunched in the back of the seat. But just some of the sacrifices that, we have to make when we go to a place like this, but really it's nothing in comparison to the sacrifices that these Christians make. Their lifestyle, barely being able to get by with money to feed their families, hard to get any kind of medication, or even to be able to go to doctor's visits, and just a lot of sacrifice that they make, and they're happy to do it. We never hear them complaining, so it's just wonderful to see. So we had a very good trip, and just to show how tired and how exhausted we were after that week, I thought I'd show a picture of David there after a productive trip. So no, really, we were really blessed with the opportunity, and thankful to be able to experience this. David and I, they really did keep us busy, but it was for a great cause, and we were happy to do it. And just want to thank the church here and the elders for allowing us to take this trip. And I hope that this report has been encouraging to you all, and edifying as well. I know this morning we haven't talked about, what you need to do to become a Christian, but if there's anyone here who is thinking about it, and, you understand that you're not in the spiritual family that we've been blessed with, well, you have the opportunity to do that this morning, to come and be baptized for the remission of your sins. So we ask that you would do that as we stand and sing.